If you ask a room of small business owners if they have backups, almost every hand goes up. The answer is an immediate, confident yes. But ask that same room when they last physically restored a file from that backup, just to prove it actually works, and the room goes quiet. We tend to treat the presence of a backup as a safety net, but an untested backup system is an assumption. You are assuming the software worked, assuming the files are intact, assuming you can retrieve them. Hardware failure and ransomware function as aggressive stress tests. They are specifically designed to exploit the exact gaps where your verification stopped. Possessing a copy of your data means very little if you cannot immediately deploy it to rebuild your operations during a crisis. The problem starts with how automated systems are designed. Once you set up a cloud backup, it quietly runs in the background. It sends you daily confirmation emails. It gives you reassuring green ticks. This automation breeds a specific complacency. Looking at this interface, it's easy to feel secure. But those automated messages are answering a very narrow question. They only confirm that your system successfully executed a copy command. They do not confirm that your data survived the transfer intact, or that it is readable on the other side. Post-copy, your files face a gauntlet of invisible threats. Data can silently corrupt in storage. The backup software might fail to read certain proprietary file types, and routine system updates can cause stealthy permission breaks, quietly cutting off access to entire folders. Meanwhile, the backup successful notifications keep arriving in your inbox every morning. A dashboard full of uninterrupted success messages is a dangerous metric for judging the actual security of your business. To fix this, we have to look at the mechanics of what is actually happening. Backing up answers a purely passive question: is the data copied somewhere? A restore test answers a completely different, aggressive, interrogative question. If I lost everything right now, could I actually get it back in a reasonable amount of time? There is a heavy psychological barrier to running a restore test. It takes deliberate effort. It feels disruptive to the normal workday. And unlike your nightly backup, there is no automated software pushing notifications to your phone reminding you to do it. Because of that friction, restoring becomes the one item on the IT checklist that most businesses only test by accident. They test their ability to recover their entire company during a live, panic-inducing emergency with the clock ticking and revenue bleeding. Backing up your files and restoring your files are two entirely separate disciplines. Doing one does not mean you know how to do the other. They require completely different mindsets to execute properly. Let's look at how this plays out in reality. Clearview accountants had a cloud backup system running nightly for 3 straight years. In all that time, they never received a single error report. Then came a Tuesday morning. A staff member clicked the wrong attachment, and a ransomware attack aggressively encrypted their entire client file server. Within minutes, every tax return, payroll record, and financial audit was locked. The firm's IT lead confidently walked into the partner's office. He told them not to panic, assuring them they would simply wipe the server and roll back to last night's perfect backup. The restore process began, and then came the agonizing, slow-motion reality of a crisis. Because they had never tested a full recovery, they didn't know how long it would take. They sat in a dead office for 6 hours, watching a progress bar slowly tick upward as the bulk restore process executed. When the progress bar finally hit 100%, they opened the recovered server. It was light. 8 months prior, a routine software update on their main server had quietly altered their folder permissions. That update blocked the backup software from accessing key client directories. The backup software had kept running perfectly, copying exactly what it had permission to see. But 8 entire months of critical client records were simply never copied. They were completely missing from the recovered data. 3 years of flawless automated reporting perfectly masked a massive data gap, and it stayed masked until the exact moment they needed that data to survive. Fixing this doesn't require an enterprise-grade disaster recovery program. You just need a routine habit. Set a quarterly cadence. Once every 3 months, pick a handful of files or a full folder at random. Go into your backup system and actually restore those files to a completely isolated external drive. Then do the verification step. Physically click those restored files open. Prove that they load correctly, that they aren't corrupted, and that the folder structures are fully intact. While you do this, track your timing. Figure out exactly how long it takes to pull down a large block of data. You need to know your true recovery window, so you can tell your clients and staff exactly how many hours or days a full system restore would actually take. Finally, write the results down. Document the date you ran the test, the specific data you tested, the duration of the download, and the completeness of the restore. If Clearview accountants had executed just one of these tests during those 8 months, they would have noticed their folders weren't pulling through. They would have discovered that permission error on a quiet Tuesday afternoon instead of in the middle of a live cyber attack. That single piece of paper documenting a successful test is the only difference between relying on an assumption and having undeniable proof that your business can survive a disaster. So, think about your own systems for a moment. When did you last actually restore a file from your backup, completely independent of checking for a green success message? Do you truly know what your full restore timeline is, or are you just guessing? Relying on a backup you have never restored is simply trusting that luck will be on your side when the hardware fails.